Hi, this is Melissa with Web of Creativity, and I'm showing my third beginner series project. This one is called Accordion and Flaps Mini Album, and again it's the third in the beginner series. Not just for beginners, of course. This is just a fun and easy project to do if that's what you're looking for, and this is perfect for Christmas. I love the Graphic 45 Winter Wonderland paper collection. It has the those reds and greens of original Christmas, and it has birds and some deer. It's really pretty, and I love the poinsettias. I cut out several of the poinsettias to use throughout the album. So that's what I did with the front cover. I have some birds, poinsettias, chipboard pieces. All of this comes in the kit. I have burlap elements throughout on the pages and the spine. So the kit will have the papers, the chipboards, the cardstock, and embellishments, and the burlap paper. So on the spine here, we got some bells from Tim Holtz that jingle, and some metal Christmas tree and a bird. And then inside we have the front of each page has some burlap on it. I just really like the look of that. So the front of each page is the accordion part. And then we have a tag on the side. And then the flaps part is on the back side. So I have kits for this album using the Graphic 45 Winter Wonderland, and then I have kits for the Echo Park's A Perfect Christmas. Those will be up on my blog along with the written tutorial. If you purchase the kit, the tutorial comes with it. And I will have a separate video up of the two kits that are a part of this collection. And these are magnet closures for this album. I really like the birds in this album, in this paper collection. And that's all I got done so far. Again, this is Accordion and Flaps Mini Album. This is Beginner Series number 3. Go to my blog, www.webofcreativity.net, for kits and tutorials, and all the links will be in the description below. Thank you for watching. For the cover, we will need 3 pieces of chipboard. The front cover, the back cover, and the spine. And then we need our cover sheets. So this is our front cover sheet, and this is our back cover sheet. So for our front cover, we're going to flip it over to the back side. This isn't a pattern paper, but it is a cardstock that has a texture on one side. And I'm going to have the texture be the back side of our cover paper. So for your front cover, I covered it with tape, and then I'm going to attach it. So it's a 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch from the edge of the side and the top and the bottom. So I've already added my tape to my chipboard. You can add, I used the 2-sided tape, and then you could add a little bit of extra tape if you want. I'm using my ATG, and my tape is empty. I should have filled that before I started. That's alright. Alright, then I'm going to measure. So again, I want 3/4 from the edge and from the top and bottom. And then for our spine area, this is just a piece of it. It's only going to cover half of the spine. So I'm going to put one piece of tape on one edge of the spine and a piece of tape along this edge. Just short of this, of the top and bottom edge. You don't want to come all the way to the bottom. So your tape is about 3/4 from the top and bottom. And then for a little bit added, nope, I don't need any added. All right. So then we're going to attach it using a spacer, which is 2 pieces of chipboard. So I'm going to take my 2 pieces of chipboard for my spacer, put it along the edge, and then I'm going to butt the spine piece up to the spacer and line it up top to bottom with the chipboard, with the front cover piece. So there we go. With our back cover, we're going to attach 3/4 from the edge. So I'm going to flip it over to the back side. Alright, and I'm going to add some adhesive. And measure again 3/4 of an inch. Okay, for this one, I'm going to do a little piece of tape. This is my 1/4 inch tape. And this one is going to go from the top to the very top to the very bottom, because our front cover paper is going to attach to it. Then we're going to take our chipboard and do our spine piece and do a piece along the edge. And this one I'm just going to add a little extra tape. There we go. So that's our front cover, and then our back cover is going to attach on top of it, and I'm going to do it upside down. Okay, so now we're going to use our spacer, but we're also going to attach this whole piece with this whole piece. So I attached this a little low, so it's not going to be completely even on the paper side, which is fine because it's getting wrapped and covered. So this is going to go a little bit uneven on the paper. So you just need to make sure your chipboard is even. So I'm going to go take the tape off. So again, we want to make sure that chipboard is what is even. The spine with the back side, top and bottom, using the spacer. Now we're going to add tape along our edges. And we're going to skip over, I'm using a 1/2 inch tape, skip over the gaps between the front cover and the spine. So I'm not adding tape there. So one tip I wanted to share is I did use a pattern for the back side and a solid for the front side. So when I used the solid, it didn't matter which way I attached my chipboard to the front cover because it was all the same pattern. But I did need to pay attention to the back side to make sure it was going to be not upside down. So that is one thing you need to make sure of when you're attaching your covers, is to make sure that that front is not upside down. So for the front cover, that 3/4 inch side needs to be on the left side, and for the back cover it needs to be on the right side. Okay, so now that we got our paper, we have to fold the edges to attach. But before we do that, we also have to trim the corners. So we're going to go ahead and trim those corners. So I got my craft mat and Martha Stewart craft knife. Which I probably should switch that blade out, but so I'm going to see if I can zoom in a little bit. So what I'm going to do is measure with the ruler about 1/8 inch from the tip of the chipboard and come out, and that's where I'm going to cut it at an angle. So on a Tim Holtz ruler, that 1/8 inch mark is right here. It's the first dotted line. So I'm going to put that dotted line with the corner of the chipboard, angle it, and then cut. And you're going to do that with all 4 corners. before we fold the sides in, and after we cut all our corners, I'm going to take the tip of my bone folder and run it along the edge. This gives it a little bit of a score to easier to fold, but I am skipping these two areas. So I'm just going to run it. Well, I guess, yeah, I have to skip it. And then you can this is a different bone folder. It has a flat edge. You can use your fingers. That'll work too. I just like to get some smooth lines going. Always skip. This is your weak point, so this is the points that you want to skip, pressing on the paper, because you don't want that to rip. You can always also roll it. Is another way to fold it up, just to give that crease to start it. So we're only going to attach two sides first and then tuck in our corners. So we're going to go ahead and just do I'm going to ink the corner real quick. This is Vintage Photo Distress Ink by Tim Holtz. Alright. Fold over. And then I'm just folding the end of the tape back, and not removing the whole piece when it comes all the way to the edge. I'm not left-handed, but I'll give it a shot. Yeah, that works. Okay, so next we fold in the corner. So on the corner piece, we'll have just a little bit of a spot right there. So we're going to just tuck it in a little bit. Your spot might be a little bit more or a little less, but that's what the 1/2 inch spot comes in when we go out a 1/2 inch, is so we can just tuck that corner in. And then we're going to do that with all of the corners. See, this one has a little bit more. Oh, not on mine. I'm not on the camera. And then we can, always try and attach the middle part first and then work your way out. And again, skip that weak spot right in the middle. And then we'll do the other side. Okay. All right. Now our outside cover is done. Work on the inside. All right, before we cover the inside of our album, I do want to poke a hole in it for a brad. So that means I need to put a little piece on our spine area. So what I did was get a burlap sheet, and I'm going to attach it on the spine, but I want to fray it a little bit. So I'm going to show you how I frame the pieces that go on the front cover and some of the pages. So I cut my piece, and then I pull one strand at a time. And this has a paper backing on it, so the backing needs to be trimmed. So you just pull until you get your desired look. And you don't have to trim the backing, but you can if you want to. If you don't, it's just a craft backing. But if you trim it, then you can get the color that's behind it to show through. It does make quite a mess. That looks good. I think I'll do a couple more things. So what we're going to do is fold You just fold the backing away from your frayed area, and then I just cut with a pair of scissors right up against the edge without cutting your burlap. And now you can have that color behind it, which is what I like. Then we're going to add our tape. Alright, then we're going to attach it to the middle. I can do this. I'm talented enough. Or I'll get it crooked. Alright, I'm going to eyeball. You can measure if you want. There we go. Okay, and then I want to put my brad about, looks good. I'm going to guess that's about 2 inches down. Look at that, 2 inches down. And I'm just measuring the middle and get my pokey tool. I got my hole, and then I'm going to put my brad through it. Alright. Now I can cover. To attach our pieces, I got the piece that covers the spine area, and then our front cover and our back. So we're going to cover the spine area. So we're going to be, this is about 1/8 of an inch that our paper is going to attach to. It's going to have about 1/8 of an inch showing at the top and bottom. And there is going to be tape along this edge. So I'm about, I pretty much add just tape a little bit on to the pattern paper, and then I'm going to go up along the edge of that spine piece. And then I'm going to want to go the opposite side of the spine, not covering the gap. And I want to butt up against that edge. If you don't butt up against the edge, and because of the gap, it could cause a bubble in your paper when you attach your paper and then close your album. And then I'm covering the whole spine area with tape, because this is where all your pages are going to be, and it's going to be heavy, so you want to make sure this area is completely covered. And then I'm going to cover the backs of all 3 of these with tape. So I have the tape on the spine piece and all the tape on the spine chipboard, and now we're going to attach it. If you see my pencil marks, I did pencil the center, and it's not going to matter a whole lot since it's going to get, most of the paper is going to get covered anyways, but it's but I did measure it so I can make sure I attach this relatively centered. I'm just removing the tape backing. And like I said earlier, it's going to be 1/8 inch from the bottom. It's a little low on the bottom, but I think that'll be fine. And you definitely want to make sure this one is attached. So I'd run the bone folder over it really good. I'm going to fold this just to give me a little line. But see, when you fold, if that tape wasn't butted up against the chipboard, this would be bubbled. Alright. Oops. Okay. So I added tape, and then I'm going to add just a little bit of my ATG. Oh, always forgetting to ink the edges. This is Distress Ink Vintage Photo. I definitely want to ink my edges before I attach this down. Okay, let's try that again. Okay. I like this paper right here. Alright, and then I'm going to do inking for the back sheet. Okay, so we're going to do a 1/8 inch border all the way around like we did the other one, and try and line it up with the craft paper. Okay, now we got our inside cover done. Okay, moving on. For the binding, you're going to need 3 pieces. Everything is in the tutorial on how to make the binding. So I already cut my pieces and scored them. So each piece is scored a 1/2 inch on both sides to give you a tab. So I just scored a 1/2 inch, flipped it over, scored another 1/2 inch. So we're going to fold on our score lines. And these are going to make our tabs, which our pages go on. This binding is called Stack the Deck, and it is created by Laura Dennison with Following the Paper Trail. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to take my 3/8 inch tape on my 1/2 inch tab, and I'm going to tape it so it's up against the edge. We want that on both sides of the tab. This is going to create a little bit of space at the bottom where the score line is. Now that space we want it to have, so when we attach the pages, we have a little bit of space so the page can fold back and forth without getting caught. So again, both sides. And then we want to do our other two pieces the same way. When you're done, we can trim the corners. I usually trim them first before I add my tape, and I just happen to forget. So when you trim them or taper them, you're going to go from the score line, and we're going to cut it at the angle, and we're going to do that on all the corners. Next, we're going to add tape again. So we have all of the tabs facing one direction. If we flip it over, we want to add tape to the back side of all the pieces. So we're going to do that just right inside the score line and then cover the entire back side. And again, we're getting real close to that score line, and you don't want to go over it or pass it. You just want to go right up to it. And cover the whole thing. Again, this is the piece that's going to hold all your pages into the album. Okay. So one side is completely covered and then the inside is not. Yes, I do have 3 sets of tape on my desk. I have a 1/4 inch, which is what I'm holding, 3/8 of an inch, and then a 1/2 an inch. Now we're going to attach them or stack them. So stacking, we're going to take, the biggest one's going to be the bottom piece, the middle one is going to be the middle piece, and the smallest will be the top piece. So we're only attaching in between the score lines. We're going to attach it to the center of the big piece. Oops, don't stick. And then we're going to take the smallest and stack it on top of the other two pieces. All right. So all of, in between each tab is the same same distance between each tab. All right. And now we're going to attach it to, oops, our album in the center. So we're going to remove the tape backing. I'm going to use my Tim Holtz ruler. It has the center point on the ruler so I can see where the center is, and then a 1/2 inch mark up so I can see that. I'm going to attach it 1/2 inch from the bottom. I only lightly put it down so I can measure to make sure it's a 1/2 inch from the top, and that it looks even when I close my album, and it sure does. So I'm going to rub my bone folder in between each tab to make sure I got this good and stuck down. Okay, and that is our binding. It's starting to look like an album. All right. All right, it's time to make the page. So we have our accordion section of the page. Then we flip it over. We have kind of like a gatefold flap and then a pocket. So we need several pieces. I'm going to start with the base page. And we're going to score the base page. Then we have our two pieces for our accordion fold. Then we have our two pieces for the back side, the two flaps for the back side. Then I have the inside pocket piece. And all the dimensions for cutting and scoring are on the written tutorial. So we're going to start with our base page. So we're going to fold on the score line. We're going to cut and taper our edges, cutting from the score corner and at an angle. Gonna add our tape. To the tab. We're going to attach these two pieces together. So we have our two tabs. Well, this one is going to go like this, and they're both going to get turned. So this is on the inside. This is going to get folded on the inside, and they're going to attach like that to make it open. So we're going to remove. And then I'm going to line it up flush with the edge. Then this tab's going to be on the inside. I'm going to fold this over so it lines up. Now I have our base page. I'm going to take our accordion pieces. I'm going to do the same thing and taper those corners. Going to add our tape to our tabs. All right, for our first piece, this is how our base page sits. We're going to attach our first flap to the right edge, and it's going to be flush to the edge. Alright, then I'm going to take our second piece with our tabbed edge, and we're going to attach it to the left side of the first flap, flush to to the edge. That's how simple the front is. I'm going to flip it over to the back. We're going to go ahead and do the pocket next. Folding on both of the tabs and then tapering all four corners. I'm going to add tape. And this piece is going to get put at the bottom of the front page. Both sides are going to be flush to the sides, and the bottom is going to be flush with the bottom. It does not get taped or glued. It's going to be open. So when you attach this, you do want to make sure this is on the bottom of your page. So again, make sure your page is in the right position. Flip over, and then we're going to attach our pocket to the bottom of the back side of the page. Then we have our flaps. Fold on the score line. Create your tab. Oops, cut your corners. So one piece, I'm going to add tape. This is going to be our top piece. I'm going to go ahead and attach it to the top, flush to the edge. Now I'm going to turn this around so I can get a better view of attaching it. So I'm going to be attaching it upside down. So again, it's going to be flush to the top edge. Our bottom flap, we're going to add tape to both sides of the tab. So I created this pocket open. So we're going to slide our tab on our bottom flap. We're going to slide it in to the opening to create our bottom section. So we're going to remove the tape on both sides. I'm going to turn this so I can get a better angle. And again, I'm just going to slide it in. Up to that score line. So we have our pocket, bottom flap, our front flap, and that is our page, and we still have the middle where we attach to our binding. And that's our page. Alright, we're going to go ahead and mat our pages. But we're going to first start with attaching our magnets. So we have these small magnets. They're about 1/2 inch big, and this just goes right in the middle to attach. So we're going to attach one to the inside flap in the middle, and the second one is going to go in the middle of this page. So we're going to go ahead and attach this one first. I'm going to take just a piece of tape. Add a piece of tape to the back and just put it roughly in the middle of the page. And then we're going to open to the inside. And this is our placement. So we're going to put it there, and I'm going to add a piece of tape to the magnet. And then I'm going to remove the tape backing. And then I'm just going to close it. And that's going to attach our magnet in place. So it's a perfect placement. No measuring required to get that placement. Then we're going to add some tape on top to secure it. Then we can start matting our pages. So we have our sheets. I've already cut them out and inked them. So our first sheet will go on top, and then when we open it up, I made the next sheets the same page, same paper. It opens up like that. And then the back side I trimmed one of my pages too short, so I'm going to add this little red strip, pop of color to it. Right. So I'm just going to use my ATG for matting purposes, but I would prefer taping them down if you're going to put pictures on it to make sure that everything stays put when you add weight to it. But that's my preference. You can use the ATG gun to attach your pages if you want. So when attaching, make sure you pay attention to the size of your paper, because one side, the left side, is bigger than the right side. now these are attached, so they're centered, and it's about a 1/8 inch border all the way around. Alright, now our front side is done. I'm going to mat the back side before I put everything else on the front cover. And the back side also gets a magnet closure. Alright, for these magnets, they're just going to be close to the end, about an inch up. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to attach the magnet to the opposite page, add a piece of tape to it, and then we're going to fold it to make a placement for it. And now we know where it's at. We can go ahead and add our extra tape to secure it in place. So for this matting, I did take out a cut apart piece, and I'm going to attach it. The directions will have if you want to use the cut apart piece or if you want to use a full size mat. I'll have directions for both, whichever way you want to mat your pages. So on any page that I do not use a full mat, I will give directions on how to mat the full thing. Alright, so we're going to I was going to eyeball it, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and measure to make sure I get the right even placement. Okay. I did ink all of my pages using Tim Holtz Distress Ink Vintage Photo. Alright, for the inside, I did the top flap and the bottom flap the same paper. And then I broke it up with a piece for the pocket piece and then a background for underneath the pocket. Now, I did not ink the actual pages, the craft pages, but you can do that also. I've done that in the past, where I gave the craft pages a little extra ink. Alright, this piece is just a little bit longer, so it goes right in the pocket. Our last piece. Okay, there's the front, there's the back, and for this front area, I cut out a piece of burlap and frayed it some, and then I cut out some pieces of the poinsettia leaf and then got a chipboard piece to decorate the front. Alright, so we're going to work on our front cover, and I have some burlap just like the spine piece, and I pulled pieces from the sides, both sides, and trimmed the corner off, and then added my tape backing. So I'm going to add this to my front cover. I'm going to center it the best I can. And I have some cutouts of the poinsettias and a piece of chipboard. That I want to attach. So I've been playing with my tacky glue. I can't get it unstuck. So I'm just going to remove the lid and add some glue to my flower. I do have some tape on there, but I'm going to add some glue to the points of the flower with a pen, because again, I can't get it unstuck. It's this craft tacky glue by Tonic. I don't know if it's just drying up or what. It's not old. I'm just adding glue to the tips. Let's see, I had that about right here, I think. Yeah. Oh. Okay, and then I'm going to attach this guy. It is awfully thick. I don't know if maybe it, thick. I'm gonna have to look that up, see if it thickens after a while. Because I'm having trouble getting, I've cleaned my cap off, and then you just have to really squeeze hard just to get a little bit of glue out. Gonna have to change my glue source. Okay, let's see. Go back to my quick Scotch-Brite glue. Let's see if that was a good spot. Yeah. Alright, and then we're going to attach this chipboard piece. Alright, now that we're done with our first page, we can move on to attaching the pages to the album. Alright, for attaching our pages, we are going to slide the page onto this tab piece. So it has an opening all the way through, and we're going to slide it on, and that's how we're going to attach it. So we're going to remove, I'm going to turn this so I can see it better when I attach. So a couple things for attaching. I removed the front tape from the front first and only a little bit from the back, and then slide it on. Line it up and make sure there is a little bit of a gap when attaching, about like that. Let's see if I can get that zoomed in. So we have a little bit, it's hard to see because it's craft paper, but I have a little bit of a gap. Oops. That we're going to want to have. Oops. So we're going to start with removing the front piece of tape, and then just a little bit of the back. This is making like a little bit of a tab, a little piece to pull and yank on. And I do that because if you take both off and one side gets stuck and you're not in place, it's harder to remove. Not impossible, just hard. So make sure the front side is lined up and attached first before I attach the back side. So again, we're going to slide it on. Make sure it's even. And then, let's see if we can see that spot, that little bit of a, it's hard to see because it's craft on craft. But we have, this is the bottom, and then this is the page. So we have just that little bit of a spot right there. In the tutorial, we'll have a picture of a close-up. You'll be able to see it better. Then we're going to fold it and make sure the back is lined up. And if the back looks good, we're going to pull on our tab that we got and attach it. And that's how we attach our pages, and then you just do that for all of them. Then we have a front cover to decorate. Alright, lastly, we have our tags, red and green tags for our album. So you just, we have a bigger tag that comes, where'd the pocket go? Big tag for the top pocket, for the side loading pocket, and then a smaller tag for the inside pocket. There we go. That's our tags. Lastly, you just add your finishing touches. So with the cover, I cut out the some poinsettias and some flowers, birds, and some chipboard pieces. And the background is the burlap. And then with the spine, I added a Tim Holtz ring piece and then some embellishments and these tiny bells from Tim Holtz. The bird and tree came from Michael's. So we have, each cover has like a little burlap element to it. And we have another burlap and a couple of stickers from the collection. And that's all I got done so far. The kits and tutorial are on my blog, www.webofcreativity.net. I do have 2 kits for this project. This one is Graphic 45 Winter Wonderland, and then I have an Echo Park Perfect Christmas. Thank you for watching.